Hello everybody, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we are going to be taking a first look at one of my most anticipated DLCs ever, and one of the most anticipated games, generally speaking, that I've been looking forward to for this year. The game is Suzerain, which we have played a number of times on this channel, twice to be exact, but the game that is in question is the DLC, which released on Monday, called Rizia. So it's Suzerain Rizia. So if you're unfamiliar with Suzerain, Suzerain is a game where it's basically kind of like a choose-your-own-adventure visual novel type game where you're the leader of this country that is emerging from some political chaos and a recession, in effectively a fictionalized version of the 1950s in the world. But you're leading a sort of third-tier power, right? You're not a superpower, but you are an important country within your region, kind of like, and there are some analogies to this, but kind of like if you were Turkey in the Middle East during the 1950s, like that sort of, maybe Iran, but like that kind of a country. And in the base story, you were the president of a republic. You had come to power. There was a dictatorship, a military dictatorship that had been a couple of sort of administrations before. The last leader was effectively voted out of office due to economic failure and chaos. And you had to deal with things like racial tensions, potential civil wars because of those racial tensions, external powers with who had sights on your land, dealing with, trying to stitch your 1950s country that is kind of a third-tier power back together and building a more prosperous future. That was sort of the role of Anton Rain in the base game for Suzerain. The DLC, King Rizia, is a different government type. So this is the first DLC for Suzerain. It is called Rizia, and you lead a semi-constitutional monarchy, which per my understanding is pretty much like almost an absolute monarchy. They have a parliament, but like there's very few restrictions on the royal family. You're King Romus Toras. You've ascended to the throne, and your reign begins under geopolitical strife, contention between royal houses and demands for the reclamation of lost lands. So I'm guessing it'll give us a little bit of this backstory. I did watch a video, was it the Temple? What's the name of the person who made the video? The Templin Institute made sort of a promotional, sort of fictional documentary video for Rizia, which is really great, and I'll throw a link in for that if you're interested and you're watching this as a VOD on YouTube. That kind of gives like an overview of the history of Rizia, but long-winded way of saying this is sort of a monarchy that's dealt with some challenges and some local strife. There was a war. They ceded some land to Valen to get them to come to their side. Valen being kind of a fascist state, if memory serves, from Suzerain. So I don't know. Let's jump in. That's enough of me talking. Let's jump in and let's start playing. Now you do... okay. I did play the... okay. Gotcha. Alright, so interesting. Apparently your main story will influence the DLC story? Let's actually do this, because I have played... no. Final save. Yeah, I don't care. Alright, so we'll load this story. I believe this is the end of the last stream, where basically I was kicked out of power for betraying people or something. I don't remember exactly. But apparently your sort of progress in the main story will influence the world that Rizia exists in, because it is a shared universe. Now, the game does start 4 years before the events of the original Suzerain, so I don't know what crossover there is there. But let's go ahead and jump in. Rizia is a semi-constitutional monarchy, 40 million population. State religion is Wurism. We have gas, gold, and wine, so we do have some pretty rich resources available to us. And we're King Romus Toras. Let's just jump in. Monarch. Your reign and your abode, your scepter and the orb behold, and ain the ground on which you trod all... Oh, whatever, I couldn't read it fast enough. You opened your eyes, so I was born in 1905. I opened my eyes to this realm. Becoming a king was never my choice. It was my birthright, it was my burden, it was my calling. Ooh, how do we want to play this? No war, no bloodshed? I don't know about that, Axlor, and the stream has Butcher in it. It was my birthright, you know? Let's just be real. I'm growing up in a monarchy. That's my... You know, I knew I was no ordinary child. I was Romus Toras, grandson of Queen Liza, ruler of all Rizia. I know she was called Queen Lizia the Great, I believe. Son of Crown Prince Valerio, the Duke of Valencris. For most of the year, you lived with your father, Valero, and your mother, Estella, in a lavish palace atop the Cliff of Monquise. Each summer, though, you visited your mother, common-born family, at their home by the Zil Harbor. You stayed with the Queen at the royal residence in Port Drazon, where you went hunting with your father's brother Hugo in the forest of Brennus. Sorry, folks, we're not a man of the people. We're not a common man. We went hunting with our father's brother Hugo. I mean, like, that's more down to earth than staying with the Queen at the royal residence, I think. Nah, fuck it. Royal residence. Monarchy for all. You're fascinated by the splendor of your surroundings and the intricacies of your grandmother's court. Every autumn you returned home a little wiser. Yeah, you know, who cares about caring relatives? She was the great. She was one of the true great leaders of Rizia, so presumably I'm thinking I'm coming home smarter every time. When she died, the whole country grieved, but the mourning could only last for so long. There was a new king to crown. You remembered two things about King Valero's coronation. The whispers that Hugo, now the Duke of Valcris, was actually the rightful king, and the shouts of protesters outside the palace gates. Alone with your father after the ceremony, you... So I'm 13 at this point. I asked him about the rumors. Your father laughed and told you certain other royals had never approved of him marrying a commoner, but he and Estella were in love, and love conquered all. Love conquered all. Does it, though? Does it, father? Does it? I had my doubts. Cynical 13-year-old. Life in Port Drazon was less exciting than you expected. You were tutored privately and rarely had contact with your non-royals. At the palace, the closest person to your age was Pavel, the groundkeeper's son, a quiet but friendly kid who knew about every plant in the palace gardens. I enjoyed bossing him around, didn't have much to do with each other. Maybe he's the only kid, you know. This would be the Hollywood version. It'd be like, the royal son befriends a commoner. So we'll do that. When you came of age, your father invited you to start sitting in on royal council meetings. You decided you would love to join. You go to university and said, to join the military. Military? The thing is, Rizia's military is kind of underfunded based on the video I watched. I'll join the military. At the prestigious Camp Dominus Academy in the mountains of Montclar, you learned about war and strategy and combat tactics. One day, the Royal War Counselor, General Tedius Azaro, came to visit. He announced a military campaign on Pales, a former part of Rizia, that had long belonged to the Empire of Valgos. So the historical empire comprising modern-day Vagsland and its many colonies, okay. One of Rizia's three noble houses the general's one of the three noble houses. The peninsula of Rizia to the south, formerly part of the kingdom, is Pales. Alright. The only home you've ever known. Now that the empire had fallen, he said the time was right to retake the region. thought it was a lost cause? Sure, General. Sure. Let us be great. I'm 18. What do I know? You weren't allowed to fight on the grounds, on the ground, so you watched from General Azor's headquarters as the Pals campaign dragged on. It seemed like an easy victory until your northern neighbor Lespasia got involved. Oh, those bastards. Those capitalist bastards. Sending weapons and financial aid. Dissent began brewing among your fellow recruits. You begged him to crack down on the traitors. Asked your father to stop the bloodshed. Refrained from taking sides. You hoped it would all pass, but the fire had been lit. One day, General Azaro burst into headquarters with the news that the Navy had mutinied. Bloody clashes between pro- and anti-monarchists were erupting across the country. The century of revolutions had reached Rizia at last. The king this is around the same time as Swordland's revolution, right? The king insisted you'd be driven back to the capital immediately. As you left Montclar, though, an unmarked car swerved in front of you, blocking the road. A trio of masked men with guns jumped out quickly and overpowered your guards, forcing you out of the vehicle. You tried to fight. Your military training kicked in and you put up a serious struggle. They shot you in the shoulder before you were finally subdued. As your consciousness faded, you recognized one of your captors' voices. Lucius Sazan, Duke of Brennus and head of Rizia's third royal house. A hood went over your head, then darkness. They held you captive for nearly a week. When rescue finally came, it was in the form of a man with a white and blue magenta flag on his fatigues. Valen's flag. Oh yes, Valen. Are they the good guys now? Or are we the baddies? At this place at the palace, you pieced together what had happened. In desperation, your father had pleaded for the aid of a neighboring country, Valen, to neutralize the uprising. But their help came at a price, an agreement signed by both countries transferring ownership of the port of Zil and its surrounding region to Valen for the next 25 years. So that's obviously going to be a point of contention in our reign. Since the game starts in 1950, that'll be 51 is when the lease is up. You wondered how King Valero could have been so stupid. You thanked him for restoring order. Frankly, I was probably just happy to be alive. The uprising had other consequences. The traitor Lucas Sazon was executed, and his pregnant wife was sent into exile. Guys, I don't want to, Crusader Kings it, but if you're murdering the head of a coup against you, you probably don't want to send his wife, who's pregnant, with his heir into exile. I'm just going to put that out there. If you're really going to execute him, you might want to do the job all the way. Your uncle Hugo was sent to serve as its steward, and you were to take his place as reigning Duke of Valcris at your child home, Monquise. Okay. Focused on finding punishing the remaining traitors to the throne, largely ignored your duty and lived a life of quiet leisure, did your best to help the region rebuild. Yeah, I'll be a attentive monarch. Valkyries came to see you as a generous, capable leader. One day the king came for an unannounced visit. He brought with him a pale-skinned young woman with striking blue eyes. Hesitantly, here's some Crusader King shit. She introduced herself as Lena, sister of Queen Beatrice Livingston, your wife. Oh, isn't Queen Beat Rumberg? Those fuckers. Rumberg? Really? Those assholes? Okay. Alright. What's going on? I'm not... Okay, how old am I at this point? I'm 25? I'm not an idiot. I know what's going on. Alright. Kissed her hand. King Valero told you that he had no choice. With Valen descending into civil war, Rizia needed a new ally. Partnership with the Kingdom of Rumberg, cemented with an arranged marriage, was in the best interest of both monarchs. Besides, he added, you would surely grow to love her. He was right, sure, why not? You and Lena, began having hours-long conversations about your royal upbringings, hopes and dreams. By the time you lifted her veil, you knew it was true love. The years after your wedding and the birth of your daughter, Vina, were the happiest of your life. The only trouble was your royal obligations sometimes got in the way of being a good husband and father. Being a husband and father distracted you from your royal obligations. You couldn't stop yourself from having the occasional affair. But what do you guys want here? What does the chat think? 2 is most likely. You think so, Grim? 1 feels the most likely. 3 feels the most realistic, probably, for a royal. It's good to be the king. Until the affairs get out. I haven't portrayed myself as sort of the absent-minded scallywag to this point, so I guess we'll go with 1. With Rumburg's help, Rizia's economy bounced back to levels it hadn't seen since the glory days of Queen Liza. Wealthy Rumburgians started moving to the cities, so did economic migrants from neighboring Morelia and Derdia, and Vezics seeking asylum from the Civil War. You were suspicious of these newcomers, welcomed the arrivals, but were secretly glad that few of them settled in your province, celebrated Rizia's new diversity. Well, given my history and that I grew up in a situation where we were betrayed by some neighbors and Rumburg's in a civil war, I'm probably suspicious of the newcomers. Many of the foreigners ended up in the province of Brennus, where a nationalist movement called the Su Omna began demanding King Rizia demanding that the king put Rizia above all. Okay. As Duke of Rizia, your uncle Hugo turned a blind eye, while his teenage son Ricardus became a vocal supporter. Eventually, Ricardus, better known as Rico, approached you about speaking at one of the group rallies. Are we gonna be a nationalist? I am probably, well, how old am I at this point? I'm 24. Probably I'm probably a 24-year-old military veteran of a failed war. Probably am gonna be, okay. You threw the weight behind them, increasing the group's legitimacy and following. Your parents were displeased but said nothing. You slowly realized the uprising had broken something in your father. He began neglecting his duties. He became increasingly preoccupied with threats, both real and imaginary. Outside the country, he gained a new nickname, Valero the Frail. You found yourself under more and more pressure to make up for your father's shortcomings. Lena was patient and understanding, one of the many things you loved about her. For her 10th birthday, Vina asked to go on a sailing trip with the 2 of you. You happily came along. In the middle of the Gulf of Alquinus, the weather turned unexpectedly stormy. When the captain tried to turn the boat around, it was hit by a breaking wave and cracked in half. The Coast Guard got you and your daughter on time, but they pulled Lena out and she was barely breathing. No, my wife! No! She died holding your hand. You were devastated. After the funeral, your mother, Estella, came to visit and found you hardly able to function. She promptly moved in to help with Vina. Hugo suggested that you turn to Rurhism. I don't know how to pronounce that. Rizia's official religion to cope with your loss. If anything, you became less of a believer. Meanwhile, the situation in the capital worsened. Rizian nationalists continued to protest the loss of Zil and the country's increasing diversity. Rumors spread that an anti-monarchist movement was beginning to grow once more. Your father called Hugo back to the capital to keep an eye on his council. You wondered what the country... I'm heartbroken at the loss of my wife. I'm neglecting my duties at this point. I'm basically ignoring what's happening. Outsiders took notice of the king's decline. One of them was Alex Reinhardt, the new ruler of the Grand Duchy of Pales. He sent you an invitation to visit him on 2 conditions. You were to go alone and without your father's knowledge. I'm still heartbroken about my daughter, or about my wife. I'm still neglecting my duties. I declined. A few days later, you received a letter from Pales. Duke Reinhardt expressed his disappointment that you couldn't meet him, and wrote that he hoped to re-establish relations between Pales and Rizia once you took the throne. I'm neglecting my duties. I'm heartbroken about my wife. Even if this is 6 years later, I kept it to myself. A few days later, the king was summoned you to the capital for a confrontation. He ordered his personal security force, the Golden Guard, to begin expecting family members' mail. He accused you of betrayal. I said nothing and walked out. As Vina grew into an intelligent, self-reliant young woman, your mother moved back to the capital. She called you one night, her voice shaking. The king was dying. He'd gone straight to bed after dinner. When your mother went to check on him later, she found him comatose in the bedroom. The doctors suspected a heart attack. Okay. Well, we will assume that this snaps me out of my sort of state that I was in, and I go rush to see him, regretting that I had not been by his side and been helping over the last 7 years or so. Your father looked pale as a ghost. It took all his effort to speak. In a hoarse whisper, he warned you not to follow in his footstep. Your reign would be a fresh start for House Toras, a new chance to take back the lands that were lost. Only after his funeral, gathered at the palace with your mother and daughter, did the realization to begin to dawn on you. From the day you were born, your entire life had been leading to this moment. Now it was finally here. King Romus. Yeah, I don't know about speaking in a coma. I'm guessing he was just like semi-comatose. I've seen folks like that where they're basically like completely out of it, but then they can snap back every now and then. All right, hair. I'm sorry. That image is bald with no hair, or no hair and a crown. Okay, we're not gonna do that. Oh, hell yes! Hello, my name is Horatio Nelson Toras. Balding. A white wig? What the fuck is this, 1700? Nice hat, dude. Swordish fedora. Okay. The professional. The little comb over swoop. I like how they added a little bit of like, not gray, but it's like a touch of brown, like the gentleman. Okay, we're gonna do the sailing cap. Clean shaven. Vagslanden. Theorist. Ooh, I kind of like that look. That's pretty slick. Ooh, with the sideburns. This one might look the best, but the Rizian, okay. We're gonna do the sideburns, I think. Magnificent! Goddamn right it is. Raleigh fingers of the Rizia. Yeah, we'll do this one. Attire, ceremonial. Ooh, I don't know why my mouse is like double clicking. Hell yeah, I'm an admiral. I wish it gave you the option to like be in the frickin' Art Navy instead of the These two are pretty damn similar. This one I look like I'm a frickin' whatever. Oops. I kind of like the red, but the blue hat doesn't go with it. Golden glasses, cigar, thin glasses. Give me the pipe! No, we don't need any. This works. They need a burning city background? Okay. Yeah, sure. As King Romus Toras, you have extensive power to enact and shape the course of your nation. By choosing different focus options, you can improve the strategic direction of your country. Alright, so government structure and tension. Opting for absolutism would solidify your monarchic traditions, concentrating power and authority within House Toras. Alternatively, reform aligns with House Sazon and the Rizian People's Party, indicating a potential shift toward wider civic participation and perhaps nuanced resource redistribution. Conversely, adhering to the status quo seeks to uphold the prevailing balance of power and some provincial autonomy. Absolutism. No question about it. Give me all the power. I'm tired of being hamstrung by a frickin' incompetent legislature like we were in Swordland. Economic strategy. A focus of strengthening our resource economy emphasizes leveraging our natural assets, safeguarding our long-term energy commitments. Alternatively, efforts to diversify the economy away from sole resource reliance aim for a more balanced financial landscape, potentially mitigating risks associated with over-reliance. A mixed strategy, on the other hand, would give us more flexibility. So, resources, diversify, mixed approach. I mean, we already have... So I don't want to become Saudi Arabia or Russia, where, a drop in oil prices topples my regime. So I'm not going to go with energy. Mixed approach gives us more flexibility, so... But we might need that, but, I mean, the question is, how rich are we, right? We're not in a recession like Suzerain was, or like Swordland was. But we're probably going to need to rebuild the army, I believe, if we're going to try and expand. So maybe diversify? Diversify or authority, I guess. What's this here? Energy, budget, authority. Give me the money. Foreign affairs strategy. In the face of global tensions, Rizia stands at a strategic nexus. Interventionism champions a proactive military stance. Appeasement fosters diplomacy. With Valen and courts the monarchy of Rumburg. Opting for the third wave veers toward regional alliances, notably with Derdia, Pales, and Morelia. I don't want to go to war with Rumburg, my wife's home. But I am interested in going to war with Valen. Maybe a third wave. We'll be like, we'll do it ourselves. The great Rizia is at the nexus of the alliances. Alright, King Romus Toras, you have extensive powers to enact and shape the course of your nation by choosing different focuses. You can improve the strategic direction of your country. Military branch focus. Air Force shift to the Rizian Air Force could position us for potential aerial superiority. By exploring advanced pilot training and considering an expansion of our bomber fleet, we might enhance our capacities for precision strikes and extend our bombing operational reach, aiming for a balanced control in our airspace. Navy. Okay, so the Air Force is the cheapest option at -1. The Army paved the way for enhanced ground operations, potentially introducing advanced armored vehicles, artillery, and modern infantry equipment. Embracing these tactics and training methodologies might elevate our territorial defensive potential, providing opportunities to explore more strategic inland campaigns. Navy. Strategic tilt toward the Navy could underscore our maritime aspirations by evaluating the integration of advanced warship designs for naval bombardment and amphibious landing capabilities. We may set the stage for strengthened naval presence and a broader influence in international waters. Or no military focus. No, we're definitely going to do something. Army's expensive, dudes. That's got to be why, it needs the most work, right? I don't know. Part of me is like, if the Navy is interesting because it's setting the stage for amphibious landing capabilities. So would that be Marines? Would it help? Because we're surrounded by water on 3 sides. That's the thing to keep in mind. We have like 2 small land borders, and then it's sea borders. So Navy, look at me. I mean, I do look like a naval officer. Maybe I'm scared of the sea. I'm like, the sea killed my wife. I don't like the sea. Let's stay on land. Let's get our feet underneath us. Air Force is the future. Maybe. But the Navy will prevent arms from coming ashore from third parties. And given that we are surrounded on 3 sides, I feel like Navy is going to be important. So we'll do that. No, I'm not sure about my decisions. What do you think I know? The angelic-sounding voice of a boys' choir echoed through the great hall of Palace Resna. I'm not going to try and sing like a little boy. To most Rizians, this was the grandest room and the grandest building in the entire country. To me, it was just home. Humble brag there. I remember playing hide-and-seek among the mosaic-tiled columns while visiting my grandmother, goofing off with Pobble in the upper gallery as my father met with foreign dignitaries. Pobble Adra is head butler of the King of Rizia. Oh, so he's the son of the groundskeeper. Now he's the head butler? Oh, good thing we became friends. A loyal man in the palace, I suppose. And of course, this was where I married Lena. I leaned forward in the silent orca, the gold-plated wooden throne on which all monarchs of Rizia were coronated. The ceremonial robes I was wearing chafed against the scar on my shoulder. I thought about the kidnapper's bullet and how close I had come to never seeing this day. The hall before me was filled with nobles, politicians, businessmen, magnates, even movie stars. A television crew moved up and down the aisle, broadcasting the ceremony to Rizian public for the first time. No, the butler won't join an assassination scheme because we're friends. That's why you befriend them. Don't you guys remember the driver? I forgot his name from the first game. Oh my god, I can't even remember him, but dude was awesome if you were nice to him. He saves your life. In certain circumstances. My mother was sitting in the front row next to Uncle Hugo. Sergey, yeah, him. My mother was sitting in the front row next to Uncle Hugo. Tradition dictated that in absence of a king or queen consort, the seat next to me would be filled by the successor to the throne. Vina plucked at a stray thread in her gown. Wait, if women can inherit the throne, and if she is the heir to me, why is my mother not taking the throne? Did she marry into the family, maybe? How are you feeling, Father?
My feelings are none of your business, child.
Ready for the next chapter. Me too. I wish Mother was the one sitting here, though. The final notes of the coronation hymn. By sword I live. Does it actually say anything? No, it doesn't. I was going to say, I wonder if it said anything about the succession rules up above. The final notes of the coronation hymn, By his sword I live, rang out. An expectant silence filled the hall. It was broken by the sound of shuffling footsteps. The cameras followed Grand Wiesman, Sal Ignacius, as he walked slowly down the central aisle bearing a velvet cushion. He presented it in front of me. On it was the Taurus crown, a black onyx words I can't pronounce, orb and scroll containing the words to the royal oath. Okay, what do I do here? Recite the oath? I took the scroll off the cushion and read it aloud from him. I hereby pledge myself in service to the great nation of Rizia and its people. I promise to guide my country with steadfast hands, to uphold the laws of the land under Saint Verk's watchful eye, to wield the sword of justice and shield of mercy in equal measure. All this I shall do until the day I die. Take the orb. I lifted the orb off the cushion and ran my finger across its smooth surface. It was inlaid with a trio of diamonds representing the 3 royal houses of Rizia: Taurus, Azaro, and Cezanne. I gazed at the Taurus crown, forged when my family took the throne 150 years ago. It was made of pure gold, adorned with twisting spires resembling bull's horns. I caught my mother's eye. She gave me a conspiratorial wink. May Saint Verk fill you with his Holy Spirit on this day, as he did your ancestors before you. With trembling hands, Grand Viseman Ignucus lifted the crown off the cushion. I could spot a gray hair still clinging to its inner rim, my father's. May you keep the promises you have made before God and your people. The crown came down on my head. Its heaviness surprised me. By the divine power vested in me, I proclaim you sovereign King of Rizia. Arise, King Romus. I stood. The choir broke into "O Shores of Gold," the Rizian national anthem. Proceed with the coronation. Stop them and make a speech? That would be rude. Proceed with the coronation. Was I supposed to make a speech? That wasn't clear. I passed my cousin Rico in the second row. He looked up at me and smiled. As we kept walking, I recognized various other members of Rizia's 3 royal houses, as well as monarchs from distant kingdoms. The entire back row was reserved for the Rumburgian royal family and their entourage. I could feel my sister-in-law, Beatrice's, eyes on me. We reached the end of the hall where a spiral staircase led to the palace balcony.
I've got to do this part alone.
No, that's rude. My daughter can come with me. Right? Right? Or do I? I don't know. I don't know. Come with me, daughter. Let us greet your future subjects. My daughter beamed and put her arm through mine. We walked up and up the stairs until we came to a door. I stepped onto the balcony. The sunlight was so dazzling I was almost blinded. When my eyes adjusted, I regarded the scene below me. Thousands and thousands of people were packed onto the palace grounds, some waving the Rizian flag, others the House Taurus banner. Just beyond them, at the gates, the police easily held back a small pocket of protesters. I paid little attention to them. I was focused on the noise of the crowd, an overwhelming roar that gradually cowered into a single chant. Salutanas ax rego novus. All hail the new king. Okay, so let's take a look at the situations here. Didn't I give the Navy more money? Heavy reliance on foreign equipment. A significant chunk of our military hardware comes from international markets. Jeopardizes our autonomy. The reduction to a smaller Rizian fleet marks a significant strategic challenge, limiting Rizia's maritime operational scope. The situation necessitates a heightened focus on tactical ingenuity. I thought I chose to... I'm confused here. Didn't we choose the option to go with... Does it give me that option where I can see my journal or see what... Yeah, I picked the Navy as the focus. Okay. Large Mountaineer Corps. The formation of a sizable Mountaineer Corps underscores Rizia's strategic emphasis on mountain warfare. We have a small Marine Division. Okay, that's nice. Paratrooper Brigade. Average military manpower pool. Half full military equipment stockpiles. Corps-sized mobile force. Okay. Economy. Rizian Royal Gold. Okay, so we've got gold, we've got gas. Football industry? Okay. Local tourist destination. Tourism focuses primarily on local visitors with limited international presence. Okay. Horrible workers' rights, so that's not great. Apparently we're a strong welfare state, though. And mixed global image. People have a mixed opinion of us. What's the news have to say? Rufus Gregg's Royal Gossip, Coronation Fashion Edition. For the first televised coronation in history, the royal family pulled out all the stops. While King Romus looked resplendent in his gold-broached robe, all eyes were on Queen Mother Estella, who strode through the grand hall in a flowing purple gown with a lengthy embroidered train and a plunging neckline. Inappropriate for a woman of her age? I'll let you readers decide. Next to her grandmother, Princess Vina looked positively demure in her long-sleeved gown and simple diamond tiara. The trio put on a good show, but the absence of House Taurus' most beautiful and stylish member, the late Princess Consort Elena of Rumburg, was acutely felt. Should His Majesty ever remarry, his new wife will have a hard time outdressing her predecessor. Okay. 20,000 commoners all came. Rizian coronation raises questions. Who is Romus Toras? Okay. Alright, what are the other things over here? Saison sends formal congratulations. Alright, so our neighbor Saison. Where are they anyway? So we're on... I need to, look at the actual global map here. So Rizia's down here. Swordland from the first game is up here. But Rizia's down here. Lespasia, who are sort of the capitalist connivers, very wealthy, but not really a superpower, are right here, just across the Sudas Sea from us. We only have a land border with the Duchy of Pals down here in the southeast, and then with Valen up here, we've got this small territory which is being leased to them for 25 years. The lease ends on the 51st of... or not 51st, 1951. And then we also border Morelia to the southwest. So this is our kingdom. We have gold and gas reserves. I forget what the third thing was. Republic of Morelia sends congratulations gift. Okay. What was the gift? Matters of the Mefton International Trade Zone. It's a globally significant economic cooperative established in 1916. Consists of gold mining facilities and refineries. Oh, well, I said gold, didn't I? Operating by corporations from Morelia, Lespasia, Vagsland, and Rizia, as well as jointly owned by the Murden Port. The heart of the zone is in the Mefton Basin, a unique geological formation filled with layers of sedimentary rock containing an extraordinary concentration of gold. Okay. So there's probably a conflict with them over the territory. The Newest Republic of Dirda. Congratulations. Conversation in the capital at our leisure. Rumburg. Queen Beatrice Livingston sent an official message of congratulations on behalf of both Rumburg and Grace, the Guild of Royal Allies for commercial exchange. Hey, so if we played the Swordland game, if we played the main game that ends in a nuclear war, does that, influence our game? Do we get irradiated by fallout or something? Alright, so this is our capital at Port Drazon. We've got sort of the territory of Zil, which is being leased to Valen. Hubert Torres appointed acting Duke of Valencris. With the governing seat of Monquis open after her ascension to the throne, it was decided that our cousin Hubertus, closest to Torres' relative living in the province, would assume the position until if and when Princess Vina is appointed Duchess. Okay. At 10, she nearly survived a boating accident. Subsequently shielded from the public eye until coming of age shortly before her father's coronation. Little is therefore known of her private life, other than her keen intellect and love of horseback riding. So she's very smart, and she loves to ride. Hopefully she doesn't blame me for our mother's death. Maybe she'll overthrow me. To mark the coronation, acting war, and Secretary Council, Duchess Luke Hill, blah, 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 blah. Okay. General Thaddeus is in the hospital after suffering a stroke. We knew Thaddeus when he was commanding when we were young. Decide the scale of the festivities. King's Dining Hall. Does it matter which order we go? Early morning at Pal's Resna. The morning after my coronation, I was woken up with a knock on the door. It took me a few seconds to remember where I was. The royal bedroom on the floor of the residential wing of Palace Resna made the one in the Toras Palace look shabby. Ornate gold trim, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so I was alone in a bed that could have easily slept 4. And why not? I should have chosen the option to have an occasional affair, especially given the fact that my wife died in a boating accident. Yes. The door swung open. Pavel walked in, beaming. After I left to join the military, my friend had worked his way up to chief butler. It was hard to believe he was now head of my royal household. Okay. What nerve! Barge in on the king again like that, and I'll have your head! It's good to see you, Pavel. He drew back the heavy velvet curtains. Sunshine flooded the room. Romus Toras, King of Rizia, you have come a long way since we were kids. Not all I had to do was wait for my father to die. So have you, Mr. Chief Butler. Not bad for the groundskeeper's son. Of course, it helped to have friends in high places. Forgive me if I'm overstepping, but how are you doing? I know you and your father didn't get along by the end, but it's never easy to lose a parent. It's complicated. There's no should. You feel what you feel. Okay. You have quite the packed schedule this morning. Why don't you eat breakfast with the girls while I get your outfit? Girls? Don't I just have the one daughter? Won't you eat with us? I ate at the servants' quarters before coming here. There are hierarchies to be observed. Now that you're king, I'm afraid. Oh, yeah, my mom. Okay. Sorry, I forgot about her. Sorry, Mom! Can you at least stop calling me your majesty? We don't need to be so formal with each other. I can in private. In public, it would be seen as highly disrespectful. I haven't forgotten, though. 2 tides rise, 1 sun sets. This'll be just like old times! Thanks, Pavel. Let's catch up later. Still in my dressing gown, I headed downstairs. In the eastern dining room, an enormous breakfast spread had been laid out. My mother was already sitting at the table, digging a spoon into a single grapefruit half. Good morning, Mother. Same to you, darling. Oh, she's got the purple hat and everything. The big floppy purple hat. I hope you're satisfied with yesterday's coronation. Your father wasn't necessarily nearly as well attended. What can I say? My people love me. It's only because of the TV cameras. Oh, don't sell yourself short. What did he say to you before he died, by the way? I never asked. Did he tell us to take the lands back? I think he said don't make the same mistakes he made. He told me to take back the lands that were lost. Zil and Pales, I suppose. He never did give up on the Grand Duchy. It's a pity he didn't live to preside over my homeland's big return to Rizia. But soon you will. He said don't make the same mistakes. I thought he also said to take back the land. Whatever. My goal is to be... Only 1 year until the treaty expires. I'm looking forward to that day. But don't let my nattering keep you from eating. A king needs his energy. She handed me a Rizia, the traditional rice and quince custard tart. Just then, Vina came bounding down the stairs. Isn't it a lovely morning? My daughter kissed Mother on the cheek and then gave me a shy wave. I nearly got lost on the way here, Grandma. Why didn't you tell me this place is such a big library? Because I didn't want you holed up in there all the time. A grandmother's got to see her granddaughter every now and then. Took a plate and started piling it high with pastries. Not too many of those sweeter. The sweeter the taste, the wider the waist. Oh my goodness. It's a special occasion. Our diet can start tomorrow. Oh wow. If you eat this much, you'll never get married? It's a special occasion. Our diet can start tomorrow. That's the political answer, I think. Suit yourself. Now, if anyone in this place could make a halfway decent strudel, that would be worth ruining one's figure for. Father, I wanted to ask you something. You know that I'm 18 now. What? Oh, yes? I don't know. I didn't know your age. I know. You've got to start thinking about where to study. We're already behind on finding you a husband. That old? How time flies. That was supposed to be a joke, right? I was thinking I'm old enough to accompany you to your council meetings. It's unusual for a female heir to join the council, I know, but didn't you do the same when you were my age? No, actually, I joined the military. Okay. Do you want to join the military, daughter? I mean, 3 is what I did, but... Well, this is what is important to me. Liza the Great is a huge legacy to live up to, after all. Oh, well, that's right, because they... Okay, so... Duh. You shouldn't have to worry about living up to anyone's legacy. You're great in your own right, daughter. Okay. My grandmother, Queen Liza, didn't get her wisdom from serving on her father's council. That's not fair. She was already queen by the time she was my age. That's true, sweetheart, but your father's the one wearing the crown right now, not Liza. And not you, yet. And what your father needs is for your lovely little face to be seen at balls and ribbon-cutting ceremonies, not hidden behind council doors. I'm not saying you can't be, like, involved. I'm just guessing you need a little bit more, you know, time doing other things. Also, that yet? I'm only, what, like 30... No, wait, so it's 50, and I was born in 1905, I think? So I'm 45 years old. It's true that you'll learn more about how the world works by being out in it, not shadowing me. That's kind of where my head was at. Was like being exposed to the rest of the world, I think will do more for her and her gaining knowledge than just following me around in council headquarters, right? Although maybe it won't. And it also remove her, hopefully, from court intrigue. and maybe give me a good sense of what's going on out there, right? Like maybe she'll report back to me and be like, this is what the people really think. Your leaders aren't telling you this. So we'll go with 4. Well, I didn't mean balls. Okay. I just meant out in the world. Okay. I promise I'll take it and be like, I'm not even there. She looked at me with pleading eyes. You can come to... I don't know if that'll send like the wrong message to my nobles to have her around, but I guess if the choice is building a strong relationship with my daughter, intentionally pissing off my grandmother. So like 1 is appeasing your daughter. Option 2 is pissing off your grandmother while appeasing your daughter. Option 3 is pissing off your daughter. And option 4 is appeasing your grandmother and pissing off your daughter. So I guess I'll go with option 1. You do realize she'll be nothing but a liability to you in that room. She's the heir apparent. It'll be good for her it'll be a good education for her. I hope you're right. The clock struck 9:15 and my first council meeting was starting soon. I excused myself from the table. As I was leaving the dining room, my mother cleared her throat. You always believed you'd make a good king, you know, even if you didn't always show it. I don't think that's true, but I will say thank you for saying that. Okay. So, Quelas, 1950s to be an exceptional wine year. The Cantuvo family vineyard in Quelas has begun bottling its batch of the latest batch of Cavil, the first to follow last year's record harvest. They've named it Romus the Red and claim 1950 will go down in history as an exceptional year for Rizian wine. Baron and Baroness Vanquer reaffirmed loyalty after absence. Security forces were dispatched to the estate of Lord and Lady Julio Octavio Toras, following their conspicuous absence from our coronation. In the past, the couple were suspected of spreading false rumors discrediting King Valero's claim to the throne. However, they testify that their absence was due to a bout of food poisoning from improperly prepared shellfish, and enthusiastically reaffirm their fealty to King Romus and his family. Did they poison my father? Coronation celebrations. House delegates hold the first allegiance ceremony. All right, let's do the coronation celebrations. The Rizian public is eager to celebrate their new king's coronation. Investing in lavish celebrations could make a good first impression and earn their favor. Small parade in the capital of Port Drazon doesn't cost any money, doesn't do anything. Parades and banquets in major cities cost 1 budget. Parades and banquets and balls in all cities -2 budget plus 1 authority. Respect my authority. Whatever. Let's build our authority early. We're going to bankrupt the kingdom in decadence and glorious monarchy. But we'll see how that turns out for us in the next episode. That's going to do it for today's look. A first look at Rizia, a new DLC out for Suzerain. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode, which was taken from a Twitch live stream. Link in the description to follow me over there. And without further ado, I'm out.